Hey everyone, welcome back to Alpha Insights. I'm Mike, and we've got a fresh look at the cannabis sector this morning. And hey, if you have questions while you're listening, drop them at stockalpha.ai.
And I'm Kristen. Great to have you with us. We've got policy moves, a recall, and some interesting market signals to unpack. And remember, you can ask us anything at stockalpha.ai.
Quick housekeeping. US markets were closed on Sunday, so the last trading day was Friday, February 27th, and the next trading day is Monday, March 2nd. So when we talk prices or flows, we mean heading into that reopen.
Right. So the real question here is momentum actually building for cannabis? Over the weekend, the tone shifted toward normalization. Lawmakers and commentators treated access and policy as solvable problems, not untouchable politics.
Which matters a lot, because policy shapes who can sell what, where products are allowed, and even whether big agricultural players can scale up. That, in turn, changes revenue prospects for the companies people own or watch.
Exactly. And what I find interesting is the market signal. The sector had a sharp drop in January. The global cannabis stock index fell about 10.5% to roughly 5.9. But by late February, it started to recover, at least as of Friday, February 27th.
Those swings tell you volatility is still high, but the policy wins seem to be nudging sentiment. Investors are watching ETF flows and the big names for early signs of renewed appetite.
So when we say big names, we're talking about the major cannabis exchange-traded funds and companies like Trulieve, Green Thumb, Curaleaf, and Tilray. Watch their activity when markets reopen on Monday.
One concrete regulatory point this weekend. Indiana failed to pass a ban on intoxicating and synthetic hemp-derived products. That means the proposed prohibition is off the books for now, at least for another year.
That was a near-term win for operators and distributors. It removes an immediate regulatory overhang in Indiana and avoids a messy patchwork ban that would disrupt supply chains.
But it's not a huge sales boost overnight. It preserves market access and gives companies breathing room for planning. So think of it as risk avoided, not instant upside.
Yeah, totally. And then there's the Ohio story. A Class 2 recall for certain cannabis gummies because the individual servings were missing THC markings. That's a big red flag on quality control.
Product safety issues like that can be material. They can lead to fines, lost shelf access, and reputational damage. Investors should watch company disclosures closely if they're exposed to manufacturers or retailers tied to that recall.
Short reactions.
Big deal.
Watch the filings.
Switching gears, another big thread is medical access. Several states are advancing bills to allow seriously ill patients to use medical cannabis in hospitals and other care settings.
That closes a gap between outpatient access and inpatient care. If more states do this, it could expand clinical demand and be a structural growth driver for medical-focused producers and integrated operators.
And culturally, cannabis is less taboo than it used to be. Coverage this year highlights mainstream acceptance, which could open the door for big agricultural or seed companies to enter the space at scale.
Imagine a giant seed producer getting into cannabis. That would accelerate consolidation, which is both an opportunity and a threat depending on your holdings.
Right, smaller cultivators might need to differentiate or partner up. Consolidation can squeeze margins, but also create scale winners with better distribution and compliance controls.
Okay, practical checklist. What should listeners actually watch this week? First, state legislative calendars. Any late session activity could change access rules quickly, especially around hospital use and hemp THC restrictions.
Second, packaging and enforcement guidance, especially in big markets like California. Industry papers are calling out the need for clarity on packaging rules, and regulators are watching closely.
Third, product safety headlines and recalls. The Ohio gummy recall is a reminder that quality control can move markets for affected companies.
Fourth, flows into cannabis ETFs and activity in Trulieve, Green Thumb, Curaleaf, and Tilray. ETF flows are an early sentiment gauge. More inflows can mean renewed investor appetite.
And don't forget cross-sector signals. Federal conversations around psychedelics are heating up too. HHS comments pushing for faster pathways for psychedelic therapies show agencies are engaging on broader controlled substances reform, which could be a tailwind for policy normalization.
So what do you do with all this? Ask whether your positions are exposed to regulatory shifts or recall risk, and whether you want exposure to medical growth or to more defensive operators that can handle stricter packaging rules.
Be selective, protect the downside, and keep an eye on catalysts from state legislatures and any federal announcements. Small developments can trigger big moves in this space.
Quick summary. Policy momentum is mildly supportive. Indiana's failed ban and advancing hospital use bills point toward easier access over the next year.
But operational and regulatory risks are real. Recalls and packaging rule debates, especially in big states, could create losers along the way.
So the bottom line, monitor ETF flows in the major names, watch state legislative calendars, track product safety headlines, and size positions with the potential for consolidation in mind.
Got questions? We'd love to hear from you. Head over to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us anything and we'll answer live. And while you're there, check out more market content.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back with updates when markets reopen on Monday, March 2nd. Stay curious and stay cautious.